Alright, today we're going to be talking about tuning and maintenance. So, this was suggested by another close friend of mine that goes up to VIR. He suggested that I do a video on tuning, and he's absolutely right. I have not done anything on this golf cart, or even thought to look at tuning. And then a subscriber, I believe, asked me to do a video on maintenance, so oil and gas and what I do on this golf cart. So let's first talk with tuning. What I wanted to tune was the accuracy of the gas pedal and the sensitivity of the brake. So let's start off by this. What I've done. Give me a minute. I'm going to remove the mat and then the little plate underneath here. All right, so remove the mat, pulled out those little plastic rivets, and then the cover here for the pedal assembly, the pedal box, just pulled that out of the way. And let me start off by saying this. I don't intend these videos to be how-to videos, because I don't want to get in trouble for somebody doing something stupid and then blaming it on me. So the point of these videos are to show you what I'm doing and to help y'all understand how the mechanics of this golf cart work, so that you can better understand and make an informed decision that you decide to make on what you want to do on your golf cart. So it's not a how-to video. I'm just helping with the understanding of this golf cart so that you can make the best judgment call. So let's start with the gas pedal here. Originally, when you hit the gas pedal, the first little movement started the starter to start getting the engine to crank over. Then you would have to keep going further and further, and then you would feel the RPMs pick up. So between the starter kicking on and then the RPM rising, there was a lot of slop or slack, I'm going to say slop, between the pedal here. So it would turn on and it would take a while, then it would kick over, and then the further you push it down, the faster the golf cart would go. So with the gas pedal, my goal was to get it to be more accurate, where when you pushed it, the starter would kick on, and then as accurate as I could be, get it to the RPMs to start rising right after that initial contact. So I would want it to get the starter to turn on and then instantly start rising in RPM. So this one was a little difficult, and it took me a while to actually do this testing. I had to actually make an adjustment, take the golf cart around the neighborhood with the GPS on the phone, the little app, I think it's the GPS HUD, and figure out how fast I was going and to figure out what I was adjusting, how it was impacting the golf cart. So I'm saving a lot of time here for you guys. With the gas pedal, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys, you have two things going on here. Down here, this is your starter contact switch. So when you press the gas pedal, it depresses this little pressure switch and starts the starter, sends electricity to the solenoid to kick the starter over. After that, you can see that it pulls on the throttle cable, and then you have your return spring here. So starter turns on, and then you start pulling the cable out further. So first thing I did was I loosened up these two nuts. They're just two little jam nuts, 10 millimeter. So there you go, you don't have to guess anymore. Those are 10 millimeter little nuts on there. If you sorry, let me make sure I'm explaining this right. If you move the back nut further, no, I'm sorry, closer this direction, moving forward to the golf cart, you are stretching the cable. So you are wanting the cable nut bolt here to be moving out to tighten up this cable. So what that means is that you're gonna be pulling all the mechanical stuff back in the engine bay sooner at the start of the pedal push. So you want this jam nut to move forward. Now, what that does is, and I'm going to explain this, the golf cart runs off of a governed system. So in a car, when you hit the gas pedal, you are messing with the throttle body. You are opening a butterfly valve and you're raising the engine RPM, ungoverned. So there's nothing telling the engine between your foot and the actual RPM of the engine to stop when you hit the pedal. Not until you hit the red line, but anywhere in between there, there's no governor limiting how far you can push that pedal. With a golf cart, when you push the pedal and you pull the line, you are actually raising the governor. And I'm just going to explain this, and this is my time spent underneath here. This engine, if I remember from the manual correctly, is supposed to max out anywhere between 34 and 3600 RPM. You can find the manuals online on Yamaha's website. It's either 34 or 3600. When you hit the pedal, the starter kicks on, and then as you push it forward, let's just say at the very beginning here, when you push it just a little bit, you're telling the governor to limit the engine at 500 RPM. I'm just going to use basic numbers here. So the engine is going to accelerate on its own in the RPM to 500 RPM, because that's how far you're telling the governor with your foot to allow the engine to go. As you keep pushing it, if you push it a little further, you're telling the motor to allow it. You're letting the motor run at 1000 RPM, and the governor is going to allow the engine to go up to that point. And then as you press it further and further, you're opening the governor for the engine to spool up to that RPM. That's a little different than what we have in cars, but to the driver, it still feels like if I push the pedal, I go faster. So there's a lot more going on in a golf cart than just hitting the pedal and pulling the throttle body open. So that is why in some of those videos that you see where you can go back underneath there, and there's I think DIY golf carts and a bunch of other people show how if you turn that little 10mm nut and pull the governor arm and the throttle arm together more, you can go faster. That's just because what you're doing is pulling the cable further, which is allowing the governor to go higher. So it's a cheap way to achieve a higher RPM engine, and that can be detrimental to this golf cart. These engines aren't really supposed to rev that high, so from the factory it's running. If you're adjusting that governor to go higher, you're testing luck. You don't want to blow up your engine, so don't go nuts with trying to max out the governor as high as it can go. So that's a lot. I know that's a lot, but this is informative videos to tell you what I have found and how my golf cart works. So that way you guys can just go ahead and make your adjustments as you want instead of having to spend all this time. So when I adjusted this, I found that the pedal became very accurate to when I was pushing it. So it would kick on and then instantly start rising in RPM right there and after, making the pedal very sensitive. Now I did notice that when I got, after adjusting it here without adjusting anything back here, the pedal seemed to hit a stopping point without actually bottoming out. And then if I pushed it, it became very hard. And what that was me really pulling on that cable, which is not a good thing. You're fighting the springs and the system and the safety features in the golf cart. That's not a good thing. So once I got this to be accurate, where it kicked on and then it was very sensitive to pushing, then I went back here up underneath, and that little governor arm and the throttle arm that everybody is showing videos how you can turn the nut to get them closer, I actually spread those apart further so that I still maintained my top speed at 20 miles an hour, and that's where I was taking laps around the neighborhood to check the speed. but I also was able to bottom out the pedal all the way to the floor without overstretching a cable. So this adjustment I have found is for sensitivity and accuracy of the gas pedal, and then the governor arm and the throttle arm back here is to limit how far that pedal and how high the RPMs can rise. So it was a balancing act of getting the pedal accurate and then adjusting the governor and the RPM speed. So I know that's a lot to take in. I know that that's a mouthful and it might be a little dry to some people, but if you're looking to make your pedal more accurate, this is where you would look at. This is what you would look for. Now, as far as the brake goes, same idea, except a lot simpler. When you push the brake, you're pulling the cable, which is going to pull the little mechanism on your transaxle, the gearbox, and stop the tires from spinning. So if you're finding that you're not getting aggressive enough braking at the beginning, you can do the same thing. Tighten up this cable by moving this further back. So that would move this jam nut forward and this jam nut forward more. You want to be careful to spin the tires, make sure they spin freely. As you're adjusting it, if you notice that the wheels stop spinning as you're adjusting the nut, that means you're over tightening it. It's almost like as if somebody's already stepping on the brake. You want to find a good balance between right where the wheels spin freely and then where the brake starts to engage. So the tires stop spinning right there, just that little movement. Now, I know that the tires free spinning here are going to stop as soon as I touch the brake, but when you're driving, there's a lot more weight of the golf cart and the people riding in it. So if you're finding that your golf cart, you have to push down the brakes really hard to get it to stop, or your parking brake isn't holding as tight as you want, you can make some minor adjustments, and that's a safety thing. You want to make sure you can stop when you want to. So I know this is a lot, but this is what I've done to tune the golf cart. I wanted a sensitive gas pedal and I wanted a sensitive brake pedal. Makes driving that much better. I did not want to make this golf cart go any faster than 20 miles an hour, which is where I've had it at, and I still think that it's a little fast. It still acts a little squirrely at max speed with 4 people on it. The golf cart sways back and forth. It can get very dangerous. So I'm not going for top speed here. I was going for pedal accuracy. All right, now as far as maintenance goes, put everything back here. As far as maintenance goes, let's talk about oil. And let's start off, since I'm already down here, with the oil drain plug. If you go up underneath your golf cart, that pulley, let's see if I can find it, that pulley, the disc with the belt on it, that is your main drive pulley. The big nut right underneath it, that guy, that big bolt, is your oil drain plug. So when you want to go change your oil, that is what you're going to unscrew with an oil pan underneath to let out all the oil. I have found this on the Yamaha manual on their website that these golf carts, the Yamaha G29, the Drive, take 10 W30 oil, and that's what I use. There's really no reason for me to go find out if I should use synthetic oil or a different weight oil. I'm just going to go with the manual because it runs very well as is. Personally, I like Pennzoil. You can use your name brand of oil, but I'm a big fan of Pennzoil. I don't know why. It's just something as a kid I've always used, and I put it in my truck, I put it in the golf cart, I put it in the generators, I put it in just about everything, lawnmower. So Pennzoil is what I use. Now as far as gas goes, you're using standard gas. I'm 89 octane, the regular unleaded gas, and I use Stable additive with it, and this just keeps the gas from gumming up the injectors and losing its volatility over the years of storage. So that just helps preserve the gas. Especially, I don't fill this thing up that much. It's very good on gas. So if I'm going to go through a spell where I'm not using it for a long time, I really don't want the gas to gum up the internals and the fuel injector and the throttle body, all sorts of stuff. So I'm a big fan of that stuff. I use it, just helps preserve the golf cart. So regular gas, 10W30 oil based on the owner's manual. The belt, again with maintenance, the belt for me, I can definitely tell it's worn. It's been used for many years, but it's still holding strong. I do have a spare in my little practical storage area. That's I believe that was the previous video that I did. I like having a belt at the ready just in case that breaks, and like I've said in the other video, you just can't go pick one up if you're out in the woods or at the racetrack. So but double check your belt. If you see it delaminating, if you see it heavily cracking or almost about to break, go ahead and replace it. There's no sense on waiting till it breaks at that point. You know, if you see a serious damaged belt, go ahead and replace it. There's no need to be driving around and having that thing snap and then whip around in there. But for as far as maintenance goes, this golf cart is very easy on maintenance. Doesn't take a lot, doesn't cost a lot. The only other thing is the spark plug, and I have to order it. I went into Advance Auto to attempt to find a spark plug, and they did not have it there. They didn't carry it. So it seems like they're using a specialty or not a non-common spark plug. So I'm ordering that online. You can find them at DIY Golf Carts, their app, their website. You can find them on eBay. You can find them all over the place. But just like a standard golf cart or a standard car uses a standard spark plug, make sure you gap it based on the manual. I don't remember that off the top of my head, so I'm gonna refer to the owner's manual when the spark plug comes in. So I don't know how often you're supposed to change these spark plugs on here. With my truck, I change them roughly every 50,000 miles. So the golf cart, I pulled it out. It looked a little tarnished. It looked a little worn. So I figured, it's a cheap enough part. Let's go ahead and replace it. But other than that, maintenance is pretty easy. Just keep up with the oil. I change it once a year. And I use this golf cart a lot. The golf cart just does not put a lot of stress or heat into the oil. It lasts a long time. So I change it once a year. Make sure that you don't overfill it. It's almost worse overfilling an engine with oil than being a little low. So make sure you don't overfill. Stick to the dipstick. But yeah. Hopefully this was informative to you guys. If you're looking to have a better performing golf cart, you at least now know roughly how it works. Maybe I didn't explain it the best, but at least you guys can see what I've been doing. But y'all have a good one.